tuning in to the Law Office of Don Dennis. Today, the presentation you are going to hear is rated R for real and not PG for playing games. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised. This video is strictly for educational purposes, and no attorney-client relationship has been formed with you, the viewer, or our office unless there is a signed written agreement on file. I hope to provide you information in a fast and furious manner, full of news that you can use. I affirm that everything you hear today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth concerning website terms of use agreements and the hyperlinks that they're often found in on websites. Again, my name is Don Dennis. I'm an attorney based in Los Angeles, California, and I focus on internet and intellectual property law. I obtained my Bachelor of Science degree from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, and my Juris Doctor degree from the UCLA School of Law in Los Angeles, California, where I specialized in business law and public policy. Since the age of 15, I've operated my own entrepreneurial ventures and businesses, both here in Los Angeles and in Chicago, Illinois. And there's one thing I can tell you, is that it's a big difference between an attorney that simply has experience practicing law and an attorney that has had the opportunity to run his or her own business, who understands what it's like to put together a product or service, ensure that it's marketable, and ensure that it meets all federal and state rules and regulations. Today, the purpose of this presentation is to make the law clear and untangle the legalese. So whether you wear a white collar, blue collar, or no collar, I hope that you finish this presentation having a firm understanding of some of the important points that pertain to website terms of use agreements. If you operate a website for your business, think about it. Thousands of people, possibly millions, can view that website each month. And each person, potential customer that chooses to do business with you, is forming a contract with you. And that contract is compiled of numerous agreements, one of which is your website's terms of use agreement. So you have to ensure that that agreement protects you and is enforceable. Imagine with me the Ford or Mercedes Motor Corporation. In the factory, they're building cars each day. Inside, while they're putting the cars together, they're deciding how fast the car is going to travel, what instruments and panel operations will activate the windshield wipers, and what in fact it will take to make the brakes actuate. After the car is designed, the engineers and the scientists, they take the car out on the road and they perform what is called a road test. The road test allows them to take the car on a racetrack or on a mountainous terrain and figure out how exactly the car will function, to give them an idea of what it will be like in real life when it actually gets to the market and customers start driving it. And as errors or problems come about, they bring the car back in and they adjust, recalibrate the car, and fine-tune any problems that might have come up. However, regardless of all the testing that they do, certain issues are not going to come out and they're not going to find out about them until the car is actually sold. And once the car is sold, customers have it out on the street and they actually experience various problems here or there. If the problems are too great and people begin to get harmed, then the company will issue a recall, call in all the cars that have the exact part that has become a problem and replace it or make some other type of corrections to the vehicle to ensure that it's safe and runs properly. The same exact thing is going on when you're crafting and developing website terms of use agreement for your web page that allows you to transact and sell services or goods. Writing the contract for your terms of use agreement is just like building a car. When you're developing the contract, you can put in as strict terms as you possibly want. However, if they're unenforceable, you're merely a toothless tiger. In addition, the same way that you have enough sense to know that a car is not designed to be driven underwater with the windows down, you have to realize that your terms of use agreement has limitations and must be designed within reason. After your terms are written, you put it up on your website. This is the road test stage. It's like a road test because unless you have a disagreement with a customer or a problem comes up in the shipment of an order or in the delivery of a service, you don't really know how your terms of use will be interpreted. Once someone starts doing business on your website and there is in fact a problem and it can't be remedied, then you might find yourself in a lawsuit. This happens when someone sues you over an issue concerning a transaction and it can't be resolved through your terms of use agreement or by any other methods. And finally, if in fact you are found in the wrong and you lose the lawsuit, you will be in a situation that car makers call a recall. It will require you to fix the problem and possibly pay out damages. If you don't have to pay out damages or fees or fines to the customer, you will likely have to pay an attorney to get you out of the situation. Some of these situations can be avoided by hiring an attorney that has knowledge in drafting these agreements to represent you and to prepare your website terms of use agreement before putting it out there. What are some of the biggest problems concerning website terms of use agreement? First of all, people have to understand that you are in fact creating a contract. The key elements of a contract are offer, where you're offering to do something for someone, sell them a good or service; acceptance, where they accept that offer and they accept the terms of the offer; and consideration. The problem is that comes up so often with website terms of use agreement is the acceptance part. How do you know that people have actually seen your terms of use agreement? Most websites operate off of what is called a browse wrap agreement. A browse wrap agreement is merely a link, a hyperlink that is, located at the bottom of your website where people can or may click on it and actually read through all the fine print that governs the contract by which they're doing business with you. Now, let's be honest. Most people don't read the fine print. Therefore, it's arguable that most people have not necessarily accepted your terms of use agreement. And many courts say that there was never a contract because you have no proof that the customer had actual notice and accepted the terms of use agreement. Now, let's say you do have a way to ensure that the customer does in fact accept your terms of use agreement. Well, are any terms okay? Should this just be left to the web designer or your graphic artist to put together for you? Well, let me caution you on a few things you might want to pay attention to. One term that needs to be in your website terms of use agreement is a forum selection clause. A forum selection clause would designate what state you would go to court in the event of a lawsuit. By operating on the internet, you make goods or services available to people throughout all 50 states in the U.S. and throughout the world. Therefore, if a disagreement arises, you could be sued in any state in the country and also sued anywhere in the world. Therefore, you might have to travel to that state or to that country just to defend yourself in the event of a lawsuit. How inconvenient. Whereas this problem could be remedied by designating in your website agreement what specific state or jurisdiction you would choose to have the contract interpreted in the event of a lawsuit. A second important term that should be considered in your website terms of use agreement would be a choice of law provision. If you have a disagreement with a customer, it specifies in advance which rules of law would govern the interpretation of that contract. So if you're in California and you don't have a choice of law provision and someone sues you from New York, a person that lives in New York, they likely would sue you in a New York state court and you would be subject to the laws of New York. Or if someone sues you that lives in Florida, you would be subject to the laws of Florida. So it'd be best, so you would have certainty in your life, to designate what choice of law you would choose for your website terms of use to follow. Each state looks at the internet a little bit differently, so get rid of the uncertainty. If you're a runner, you know that there's a difference between casually racing a friend or some people that you know from where you're at to the corner as opposed to competing for a gold medal in the Olympics. If you want to, in fact, obtain a gold medal, you have to you have to hire a professional to train you. The same thing is true when hiring an attorney. You can hire an attorney that may not focus on internet law or intellectual property and hope that they can cheer you on as your business strives to be successful. Or you can hire an attorney that knows the ins and outs and is thoroughly familiar with what you want to accomplish and make sure that you reach the destination that you choose. Interacting with people online is business, not friendship. Honest people have no problem putting things in writing, and intelligent people hire the law office of Don Dennis to make sure it's done correctly.